That's fucked.
That's fucked. That's wild. For those, let's start it there. Let's begin here. Just received a screener for Red One, which has been in cinema for 3 weeks.
Came out
early November. Like November 7th or something here.
Like a month.
A month in cinemas, and we've just received a screener for it, releasing on Amazon Prime. Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I love that I looked at my non-watch.
And if that's no commentary on the state of the movie industry right now, then I don't know what it is.
And also, we'll say, like, Red One obviously hasn't been critically adored, but it's got a massive audience score.
Huge audience score.
And
people love Dwayne the Cock Johnson.
And it's been only very slowly dropping each week.
Sure.
So it's like, I don't think it's going to end up being like a massive hit,
monumental failure.
It's had a lot more longevity than I think
and
people expected.
it's an Amazon MGM production. So
it was always going to
Prime
come to Prime.
around
but I
Christmas,
think it just came earlier than we were expecting.
And that happens sometimes. It happens to the best of us. Sometimes we all just came early.
And I feel like one movie that will probably end up on streaming quicker than we might expect might be the one we're talking about today.
Might be the one today, talking about MUFASA, the Lion King, I think is what it's officially called.
Title, yeah.
On today's episode of Monthly Movie Marathon. Welcome back, everyone.
Where we marathon movies monthly.
Monthly, because in a monthly time frame, in a marathon format, we're watching
movies because they're a movie.
For those who don't know, the format of the show, I guess. If you're joining us now, welcome.
And if you're joining us now, like, weird time to join us. But
it's the end of the year wrap up. We're getting so close to the end of the year and being like, oh my God, we watched so many movies. And then like, we'll get a break, right? No. We've already organised junkets for 2025. We've got screenings locked in for 2025.
Yeah.
So no rest for the Wicked, which, speaking of, thank you for listening to our Wicked episode of Monthly Movie Marathon. I finally saw the film.
Yes, he hadn't seen it when we recorded
it. It was great. Yeah. It was really, really good. I was swept up in the magic. I'm excited. I'm actually kind of excited to watch it again. I want to give it a bit of time.
Yeah.
Because that's an investment. That's
it is.
Investment.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed it. But that episode's done really well. So thank you all for watching that. So if you don't know what we're doing, Monthly Movie Marathon.
Oh, I just realised I'm repping Glinda today.
And I'm repping blue. Bok, I guess. He wore blue, right? At some point?
I think so.
Fierro wears blue.
Ish,
I guess. So
closest you'll ever be to Jonathan Bailey.
I was going to say, if anyone wants to make comparisons to Jonathan Bailey, I'll take it.
I'll take it too.
Damn it. Fucking beat me to the joke. So what we do is we pick a movie like Mufasa, the Lion King, which is probably like one of the biggest releases of December, I would say. And in a big month of like sequels.
And we've just seen like reactions come out.
Literally today, yeah.
And they're much more positive than I was expecting.
Way more positive than I was expecting as well. So, I mean...
It hasn't made me like...
more excited to see it. God, no.
But, you know.
Because there was trepidation, and obviously we're going to talk about the trepidation because with Mufasa coming out, we watched The Lion King and The Lion King leading up to it, the 1994 animated classic and the 2019 animated movie, film. I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
It's moving pictures on a screen with sounds. I think you can call it a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, those reactions came out, and we spoke about this at the end of the last episode, on the Wicked episode. And we were both like, I guess the main reason that we have some sort of interest is Barry Jenkins.
Right.
Oscar nominated, I can't remember if he won for Moonlight, but definitely Oscar nominated director.
We know that Moonlight won. No, he didn't win for Moonlight because Damien Chazelle won.
And then
Moonlight won Best Picture after the little debacle.
And yeah, one of the most famous Oscar mishaps of all time, I guess. Moonlight.
Oh my God.
It's one of those movies I've only seen once, and God, it left an impression. And I'm always like, I could go watch it again. Don't feel like it.
No, I was the same. I watched it once and walked out of that cinema very glass-eyed because I was crying.
Absolutely.
Crying like a homo. And
those sandy hand jobs just coming back. Those memories coming back.
I mean, like, if Trevante Rhodes wants to give me a sandy hand job.
You'll take it, yeah. You'll take it.
And then I've watched it. I have watched it again once, but only very recently.
Okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is
It's a heavy movie, but
a
it's
heavy
brilliant.
movie.
It's absolutely brilliant.
And then Barry Jenkins followed it up with
If Beale Street Could Talk, which I thought was incredible too.
Great movie.
One that's sort of fallen to the wayside, I guess, in his
and
filmography.
I feel like a lot of people are like, that's right, like Regina King won an Oscar for it, and rightfully so.
I thought it was a beautiful movie.
It isn't one of those ones that like immediately sort of stays out there.
I feel like if that was his first movie, it probably would be talked about more in the sense, and then Moonlight would be like, oh my God, and then he followed it up with Moonlight. Yeah. That's incredible.
Moonlight was such a tough act to follow.
Oh, big time.
So,
then he came through with The Underground Railroad, which was a miniseries on Amazon Prime, which I've only seen a few episodes of, but it's cinematic television at the highest grade. He's such a visually incredible director.
Yeah.
Which then makes me go, okay, what can he do then with this technology that Disney are using for The Lion King and Mufasa, The Lion King?
Yeah.
And so even though the reactions that have come out are they're praising this like incredible origin story for Mufasa, they're praising Lin-Manuel Miranda's songs, which is almost like a foregone conclusion now. Like if you got Lin-Manuel writing songs, you're probably going to enjoy most of them, I would say.
But it's just funny because like obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda has also received his fair share of criticism for some of his songs. Like the new stuff he added for Little Mermaid did not go over very well.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the Pelicans rap.
Pelican rap. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And also because Barry Jenkins did make a comment about how the sort of the
I wanted to bring this up.
The big visual sort of side of things doesn't feel like comfortable to him.
He didn't feel comfortable doing it. He said this is probably not a movie he would actively willingly make again.
Yeah, which
doesn't necessarily bode bad for the film.
No, but it's also like save that talk for after the movie opens.
Also speaks volumes maybe about the studio system and
like this does kind of strike me as one of those things of maybe Barry Jenkins has a Disney/Fox project that he wants to get up and running, and it's one of those things
one
like
for them,
do one for us, you do one
and I'll do one for you.
So who knows what
happens far more often than you think.
Yeah, who knows what the Mufasa follow-up will be,
and who knows what the box office on something like this is going to be. It's coming out at an interesting time.
Like we're seeing, obviously, like Moana 2 went
gangbusters,
like beyond what I think people were expecting.
I don't even think the guys who made Moana were like, we are going to make this much money. It was breaking records. Like, it opened higher than Inside Out 2, which is currently still the highest grossing film of the year. Yeah, Deadpool never took over it. So or it never took over, past Deadpool, right? So
it's weird.
What does that say for Moana?
Yeah.
Which is arguably Moana had far more competition in Gladiator and Wicked.
Yeah, and Gladiator 2 and Wicked have both held very well.
They've held well. Wicked has shocked me a little bit. I did think Wicked was going to make more money.
I thought Wicked was going to make more money. They still say like it's very easily going to possibly make $500 million.
That's
which is huge.
Kind of great. I was anticipating potentially $1 billion.
I thought Wicked was going to be $1 billion movie.
It has staying power though.
That's the thing.
Here's the thing. They're going to Barbie it. The same thing as last year. It's not going to come out on premium VOD until I would say maybe March next year.
Yeah.
And then so you've got all that cinema run leading up to it.
And we have now that the fact that Wicked has just been nominated for a whole bunch of Golden Globes.
A whole bunch of Golden Globes.
So
best
film, musical comedy. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have both been nominated for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress.
And then there's some below the line ones, right? Like obviously costume, production design, all that stuff.
And it has won a few things already.
Yes. So National Board of Reviewers it won Best Film, which I think everyone was like, what?
And it's very much being poised to be a big Oscar contender. Like it would be very shocking if it didn't pick up. I assume a Best Picture nomination.
Probably. It's probably in the conversation.
Ariana Grande seems absolutely poised to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress, possibly win Best Supporting Actress. Cynthia Erivo is less so. Only because of how
stacked that
competitive Best Actress is this
Especially
year.
now, the one film that everyone thought may have struggled more at the Oscars got swept up Golden Globe noms. That's The Substance.
So there's
Came out and fucking hammered nominations.
So this movie opened in September.
Yeah.
It's an R-rated body horror movie.
Yeah.
It was released by Mubi, who have never theatrically released a movie before, I don't think.
They had,
Oh,
but
they
not
have?
this wide.
Not
Like, this was
wide?
like one of their biggest releases. And it's their highest grossing film.
This movie has had staying power.
Big time. People
think
still
it's like-
talking about
I
it.
think it's like up to 70 million worldwide.
So much so that that Rhiannon's dad, who likes movies,
Yeah.
but he was like, "Oh, we're watching The Substance over Christmas."
Wow.
He hasn't seen it. He's like, "Oh, I've heard so much about it," and I was like, "Don't you worry, Ken. That's my favorite movie of the year."
Yeah.
Happened last year too. We talked with like, "Oh, I really want to talk to him." I'm like, "That's my favorite movie of the year." I'm like, "You guys are picking some pretty cool shit." So yeah, it's just even outside of like the cinephile community of which we are a part of the monthly movie
But
marathon.
it's still playing in cinemas.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Like,
it's on VOD. It's on Blu-ray.
on
this
Blu-ray.
week, and I saw session times for The Substance still,
and-
which is awesome.
A lot of people
gonna
were
watch it
saying
again.
like there was like Demi Moore's performance is incredible.
She's stellar.
Margaret Qualley is great. But I think it was
Screenplay, brilliant.
I think it was just one of those movies that people were like, is it too
Much.
weird? Is it too much?
Yeah.
Apparently not, because it got a
Thank
a
God.
nomination for Best Comedy Musical, which is the only category it could really go into.
Because
Because I
one
mean,
of
it
those-
is. Look, it is a dark comedy.
It's a satirical movie
But
about Hollywood's beauty
It's
standards.
just funny
and
when you
treatment
see
of
like
women.
Best Comedy Musical. Demi Moore's performance.
What
Margaret
was the other? A different man getting in there too, where I was like, yeah, I get it. Like
Yeah,
a different man
and-
is a comedy in ways.
and Hugh Grant being nominated for Heretic.
comedy, yeah.
And
I'm like,
he's
wickedly funny.
But anyway,
But
we're saying
We're not here
the
to
Substance
shit on the Globes, I
has
guess.
overperformed in the award season.
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
So there's a very big possibility that Demi Moore gets into Best Actress.
yeah,
There's
I
also a very
hope
big
so.
possibility that she might win because of Demi Moore's got the.
This is
She's worked like she's
potentially
been
the career
she's
Oscar
worked
as
for so
well.
long.
Yeah.
She's never had an Oscar nomination.
Is it the Jamie Lee Curtis Everything Everywhere All at Once thing where it's like you're maybe not the strongest performance in
Even
that
though Demi
category.
Moore's performance is incredible.
Oh, I 100% agree. Like I said, Substance is my favorite movie of the year.
yeah.
Like, and she's amazing in it. But it's one of those things like, do you see that same sentiment from the Academy?
Yeah.
Potentially.
And because, she's in her 60s and the movie's all about someone who's sort of been basically put out to pasture because they're over there.
because they're
over there.
too old now.
Yeah. It would be incredible if
Despite
if
looking like Demi
Demi
Moore.
Moore. It would be incredible if she wins. I feel like the only competition for her is Mikey Madison.
Yes.
And,
now
look,
having
I would
seen Honora,
love Mikey Madison to win because Honora,
she's fucking great in that movie. God, just for the closing scene alone.
Yeah.
That is powerhouse acting in that final few
I
moments.
feel like Mikey Madison is
Brutal.
probably the front runner. I know a lot of people have been saying Angelina Jolie. I don't think
Nomination.
she's going to win. She'll get nominated.
Nomination.
I would also love Nicole Kidman to win.
I still haven't seen Baby Girl.
for Baby Girl.
I will be watching it by the end of the year.
Again, like she's already got an Oscar. That doesn't mean anything. Emma Stone's got 2.
No, that's true.
Meryl Streep's got 3.
It's just lead actress is far more
Lead
stacked
actress is really
than
stacked,
supporting,
and
yeah.
it's like I would understand if Cynthia Erivo got nominated.
Yeah.
But I would also understand if she perhaps missed out. And maybe
Yeah,
it'll
okay.
be like the Barbie thing where Margot Robbie doesn't get in.
Sure, but
And
it gets
the supporting
more-
people do, but it gets
and
love
it gets a best film
overall,
nomination and a best
you know. And then maybe Wicked Part 2 is when they go
Cynthia, this is your
we will
time
see.
to shine.
But aside from all that,
that's-
we've got to talk about the movies we're talking
Well, yeah, a
about.
movie that's probably not going to come up in the Academy Awards,
Yeah.
which is Mufasa. But that's all stemming from the fact that box office wise, we don't know how Mufasa will do because Wicked is still competition, Moana
Moana 2
is still
is-
competition, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will
Is
be
coming
competition.
out.
It will absolutely be competition because
Yeah.
the first two were
Did really
financially
well.
lucrative.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I don't see Mufasa being a $1 billion movie. It's weirdly not getting advertised as much as I thought.
No, and
It
I think,
should.
and even though Lion King, the
2019 Lion King, yeah.
made $1 billion,
A ridiculous amount of money.
it doesn't mean that that's sort of a precursor to Mufasa.
No.
And maybe because a lot of people, even though a lot of people gave their money to Lion King, no one talks about this film in a very like
not a
positive,
very positive
light.
light,
So
no.
it's like, does that then hurt Mufasa?
Potentially,
Or does
yeah.
Mufasa have a big opening weekend and then drop
and
off?
drop off. So
All
that's-
these possibilities we shall see. We'll know next in
in January.
In 2
Actually,
weeks.
no, we'll be able to talk about it on our recap episode.
Yeah,
which is
we'll
will be
know
coming
like
up.
just before Christmas
what the go is because it is released that week before Christmas.
Just before Christmas.
But enough Mufasa speculation. Let us talk about the films.
Enough about Mufasa. That was awful.
It was terrible. It was kind of funny at the same time. Let's talk about the movies that paved the way. So The Lion King and The Lion King. Let's start with The Lion King.
1994.
1994.
We all know how old Nick and I were in those years.
Okay, how old were you, Pete?
9 turning 10.
Do you want to know how old I was?
Were you even born?
I wasn't even born yet. I'm 1995 for those playing at home. So, however, that does mean I did literally grow up with The Lion King on VHS.
Yes.
This was a movie that I watched and adored growing up. There is an argument.
I adored it first.
Pete's like, I'm the fucking hipster of The Lion King. Pete's like, I saw The Lion King when no one else fucking saw it.
I saw it in
cinemas. I have seen it in cinemas since. I've watched the re-release.
I did the same thing. I saw it in the cinemas when it first came out.
And then the re-release, the 20-year re-release.
Just to be like, I would really like to see that in the cinemas. And you just watch it in the cinemas and you're like, they don't make movies like this anymore.
The Lion King is... There is an argument that this could be the best animated film ever made.
Possibly, yeah.
It's up there for me. It's not my favorite Disney film.
What is your favorite Disney film?
Well, I blend the Disney Pixar thing, right?
Right.
The Incredibles is my favorite.
Right.
I love that movie. I grew up, I was 9 when that came out.
Yeah, of course you were.
So like, that's my Lion King, I guess you could say. But yes, 1994 animated classic, 92% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 93 audience score. This is a bona fide classic.
Yeah.
It's beloved by all, except 8% of people who are stupid.
Yeah,
in
what
my
the
opinion.
fuck?
But
I like joy.
if you haven't seen The Lion King, first of all, what the fuck? Secondly,
Yeah.
This Disney animated feature follows the adventures of a young lion called Simba, voiced by Jonathan Taylor Thomas. JTT. And
the amount of 90s kids they're going to be like, JTT.
Did you watch I'll Be Home for Christmas a lot growing up? His one Disney Christmas film?
I didn't watch it a lot. See, JTT to me is Home Improvement.
Sure. Yeah.
And then Jungle to Jungle.
Jungle to Jungle. I love that movie.
Yeah.
No, that is a great movie.
Yeah.
The heir of his father, Mufasa, voiced by James Earl Jones.
Rest in peace.
Simba's wicked uncle Scar, Jeremy Irons.
Oh,
plots
so
to
good.
usurp Mufasa's throne by luring father and son into a stampede of wildebeests, but Simba escapes and only Mufasa is killed. Simba returns as an adult, played by Matthew Broderick, to take back his homeland from Scar and with the help of his friends Timon and Pumbaa, played by Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella. That synopsis gives away a lot of the first half of the movie. But I think as well, one of the most, obviously, even if you haven't seen The Lion King, you are aware that Mufasa dying is one of the most heartbreakingly iconic scenes of cinema history.
There's videos of like dogs watching it.
I've seen this.
And dogs like being like genuinely upset
that they're watching this.
Like this, because like see it as like another
animal getting killed. And it's done in such a way, just to skip forward to this, that is genuinely terrifying for children.
Yeah.
Scar is
like, we look at it.
Terrifying.
Scar was going to kill his like what? 5-year-old
his
nephew?
infant. Yeah. His
he was like,
nephew.
I will put them both out to death.
I'm going to kill them all so I can literally just become the leader of the wildlands.
Yeah.
He's mental. Scar is insane.
And it's so perfectly voiced by Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons, the little scandalous minx, is so good.
I love
as
Jeremy
Scar.
Irons.
I love Jeremy Irons in general.
So good.
Is Scar potentially his best performance? Like, it has to be up there.
It's that and
Alfred from Justice League.
Yes.
That one? Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. Yeah.
No, he did. It was a movie that I hadn't seen until a couple of years ago.
Right.
Is it? No, it's not The Incredible. Oh, fuck.
I'm trying to... Oh, fuck. I forgot he's in Margin Call as well.
That's right.
God, he's good at that. Oh, he's Dead Ringers, the original Dead Ringers movie.
I need to figure out what this movie is called.
I'm trying to... I'm not on IMDb,
it's like one of his older movies.
We'll look that up. But he is brilliant in this movie. Like, genuinely... There we go. Jeremy Irons. Genuinely amazing.
Be Prepared is one of the like greatest songs.
We are absolute... He has got 113 credits to his name.
It's like an 80s movie.
Okay, here we go. We're in the 80s.
maybe it's the 90s.
What was it about?
It's him and Reversal of Fortune.
Reversal of Fortune.
Him and Glenn. That movie
Okay.
is fucking incredible.
All right.
I'd heard about it.
I've never even heard of it.
I'd heard about it.
Reversal of Fortune.
And I remember I was like going, I think it was like Stan.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, you know what? Let's watch this.
Flawed.
Like rivets, like just like, I
True.
was like, this movie is like, I was like, this is fucking incredible.
Okay. All right. Reversal of Fortune going
Yeah.
onto the watch list.
Yeah.
But like Jeremy Irons is the highlight in a movie that is pretty much pitch perfect.
It's pretty much pitch perfect. Yeah.
Right from the iconic sun rising shot, the African chorus.
Everything the light touches.
Oh, the animals coming to a Circle of Life is such. I remember when I heard Circle of Life on the cinema speakers that time. Oh, it's like goosebump inducing stuff.
And that's when you just like Elton John, Tim Rice,
Just
Andrew Lloyd
killing
Webber,
it.
just like boom.
But then that scene's incredible, and like the hairs on the back of your head stand up, and then that cut to The Lion King, that like boom.
Yeah, because it like
I'm like, holy
like
shit, what is
like
this
the end of
movie?
the song is like builds like the
Build,
drum,
build,
and
yeah.
then it's just like
Bang,
bang.
The Lion King, and you're like, holy shit. And then it gets into the Disney fun stuff, Simba's. Well, actually, it introduces us to Scar first,
Yeah.
which is a great way to do it because you're like, iconic villain.
But like
of all
Simba, you know,
time.
it's like, oh, you little scamp, just running about with
Simba's just being
with your girlfriend Nala.
just being cheeky little lions together, and he's just like,
And JTT is like, he's got the perfect voice.
oh, it's he's got that like. He's so charming.
Yeah.
But he's also like, I'm a little rapscallion.
Yeah.
I'm a charming little rapscallion,
Yeah.
is old Simba. And then we got
So much of a rapscallion that Scar's like, I'm going to
I'm
kill
gonna kill you because you might genuinely fuck this up for me. But then we got like Rowan Atkinson as Zazu, which is hilarious. Like
I've got a lovely bunch
Disney's-
of coconuts. There they are.
Disney's
standing in
voice
a row.
casting in the 90s was unparalleled.
Like Rowan
When you
Atkinson.
get- Rowan Atkinson, but then you got like Robin Williams as Genie.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons as Scar. Like James Earl Jones as Mufasa.
Yeah.
And Nathan Lane as Timon
So like
is iconic.
like Nathan Lane to me,
Yeah.
obviously Timon.
Timon, yeah.
But like to me, Nathan Lane is the birdcage.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And also, if you haven't seen the birdcage,
it's fantastic. Him and Robin Williams.
Him and
are
Robin,
so
it
good in
is.
that.
It is to me that is one of the greatest comedies of all
No,
time.
it
it's so
absolutely
fucking
is.
funny.
It absolutely is.
But like him as Timon, he just like Timon's like just such like he's the way that they cast the voice, like it's like they haven't drawn them to look like these actors.
No.
But you watch them and you just go, I can't see anybody else but Nathan
Lane doing this. Yeah.
Like Nathan,
No, I
like
get that.
he's just so like Timon's the kind of guy that you'd be like, you'd have a conversation
Timon's
with.
a showman.
And he'd always be one-upping you.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you'd try to prove him wrong and he would.
Did you
yeah.
Did you ever watch Only Murders in the Building?
I haven't finished it.
But you've seen Nathan Lane in that.
Yeah.
That to me is like a caricature of what I think Nathan Lane's
Lane,
like.
yeah,
And I'm sure Nathan Lane's actually like a lovely person in real life.
Yeah.
But I love that sort of like, I'm on Broadway, I'm
Yeah.
a showman, like
Yeah.
I'm before. And Timon is that. And
Yeah.
Timon, the way Timon like busts out into musical numbers in this is hilarious. And I love, can only get away with it in the 90s, I guess. But when he's like, what do you want me to do? Dress up in drag and do the hula.
Yeah.
It's just like, firstly, gold comedy for adults. Like kids would be like, I don't get what this is. But like, that is what Timon would do.
That's what's great about, I feel
Timon
like
is a performer.
that era of 90s animated movies, because like your parents, like they'd have to take you along.
Sure.
But there would be these bouts of humor
Just leave these little nuggets.
that obviously as a kid you're like, I don't get
goes
like,
over your head,
or
just-
you'd be like, oh, like it's funny, like he's dressing up in drag.
It's funny that he's doing the hula and singing.
Yeah,
and
and with
like the
like-
hyenas are
yeah.
gonna come kill him. Yeah,
But-
yeah.
I was obviously, as you grow up, you're just like, that was actually really funny.
That's a really funny joke.
Yeah.
So
it's like Aladdin, like a lot of the stuff that Robin Williams says.
I would kill to hear those tapes.
I reckon there's
that's
like
just
I reckon there's like an R-rated card.
There's an R-rated genie out there somewhere.
100%.
But yeah, like the voice cast is unparalleled. Like everyone just hits the mark so well. And then when Simba grows up and Matthew Broderick voices him. Matthew Broderick, like that is the Simba I remember. That is the iconic Simba voice.
Also, we need to talk about the fact that The Lion King when you watch it, because Lion King's like what, 90 minutes, 100 minutes?
Not even. I think credits
70
rolled
minutes?
at like 78 minutes or something.
This movie, I was like, it doesn't fuck around.
No, there is no fat on this movie.
Like, I love that it's like
lean,
he grows up during the middle of a song.
One of the best songs of the movie as well.
Yeah. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matutu, as me and my brother would say.
That's actually sweet. That's actually really funny. It's sweet. I like that. Hakuna Matata.
It's like when I think of the Lion King, this is one of the shots I think of.
Yeah,
as when they're walking along the log and their heads are swinging from side to side,
getting bigger and
he just
older.
gets old. And I was
Love
like,
it.
it's just great.
The change of the seasons and it's so good.
so good.
But it's great that the movie can invoke so much joy despite having such a traumatic opening. The stampede scene. It's like we'll talk about the animation.
It's horrific.
It's horrific. The way it's like, I guess for lack of a better word, like shot.
Yeah.
When you're watching like the wildebeest come over. It's like iconic trauma for me as a kid. It's so terrifying. And the sound design is so terrifying.
And it's then like...
escape.
And then it's after all of that, it's like...
Yeah, you've done with that.
The stampede's done. And then Simba... And it's Simba seeing...
Finding the body.
Mufasa and then just doing like the... Dad. And then he like... That's and it's like it's so heartbreaking. And then Mufasa, Scar being like, "Look what you did."
Yeah.
Simba.
And you're gaslighting the fuck out of him. Scar is such a bitch, dude. But
get out of here, Simba, and never come back.
As a kid, hated. Oh, that's brutal. When he makes him run away, and he's like, "Yeah, oh my god."
Like basically, like, "I'll help you hide the body."
Yeah,
Simba.
literally. Yeah. And then, but growing up is realizing that like. Jeremy Irons is perfect at this. Like, I hated Scar so much, and then I've grown up and been like, "Fuck, Jeremy Irons is like the best."
And it's one of those things when you grow up and you'd be like, "Look, I don't agree with Scar killing his brother," but you'd be like, "But
like
you know
for
what?"
the movie.
But you're also like, "Hey, some people just have ambition."
Some people.
And you're like, getting older is realizing Scar wasn't the problem, okay?
Scar was a go-getter.
Scar saw an opportunity and he fucking took it. And you know what? Mufasa? Fuck around and find out.
Mufasa was what we call a passive leader, and I want someone to come in and really just dominate the area. And that's what Scar did.
Yeah.
Scar took matters into his own hands. Scar 2028.
And he pushed them off a cliff.
Scar would be the vice president to Trump. That's all I'm saying. In this scenario, Scar would be Trump's VP.
Small part of me is like, Scar is Trump.
Maybe Scar is Trump. Wow.
Yeah.
What a beloved villain.
I mean, hey,
this has changed everything.
I mean, they're both orange.
That's... Oh, fuck. That's too good. Oh, God. But the animation is fantastic.
The animation's
it's a beautiful looking film. It's great. The best animation I've ever seen. But
they said, could it be better? No, it can't.
They tried. The Lion King in 2019, more like the Lame-O King. Anyway, we're going to work on those impressions.
Yeah.
But I think arguably the most memorable elements is some of those songs.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to be king.
Yeah.
Can you feel the love tonight? Be prepared. Hakuna Matata.
Circle of Life.
Oh, it's so good. And the beginning of the movie is definitely more musical heavy.
Yeah.
Which works well, because it worked by the end when we're getting into the real serious shit at Pride.
You're almost like, I don't want us to.
I don't need to sing about this, but I love that it feels so natural to the story.
Yeah,
it doesn't some Disney film songs can feel shoehorned in. There is not a song I would remove from the Lion King.
Oh God, no!
It is just pitch perfect in that sense.
And I will say, can you feel the love tonight? Watching that as an adult, you're like, this is a bit.
Oh, hell yeah. It's a sex scene.
Like, Nala gives full-on fuck me eyes.
Oh, this is
when
a
she's lying down
straight-up
she's
sex scene. Yeah. Oh, that's... I thought that too. When she's on her back and Simba's coming... Yeah, Simba comes...
And her pause, she's like...
Yeah, she said that she's ready for it.
Yeah.
We're almost experienced bestiality in
And then there's... Have you seen how in the sky...
Oh, the S... So it's SFX is what I've learned.
But a lot of people...
I got caught up in those YouTube videos when I was a young teenager.
It's like that with the penis on the Little Mermaid.
The penis on the Little Mermaid. Or like, there was a character in Aladdin who apparently has an erection or something. Like
it's the father, isn't it?
The father.
And how in
Oh, the rescuers?
Rescuers Down Under. There's like a porn splice.
There's
into it.
someone's naked in like a mirror or something. Oh, in a window.
And then Who Framed Roger Rabbit? They drew in.
That's right. They
Jessica
drew in
Rabbit's
that's
red pubis.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, with bored special effects artists, right?
You know what? You're probably not going to see any of that in the new streaming age because they
just remove it all.
Films.
There, they covered
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo
In the original film, she goes into what does she go? She goes into like a washing machine.
Oh.
And then I think in the new one,
like the sister, yeah, the older sister
goes into like a washing machine, and then in like the new one, it's like into a basket or something because it looks bad going into.
Oh, like she
like that
what
sort
are you
of
doing?
stuff where they just like
sister sort of stuff. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like and Splash where
They
Daryl
covered
Hannah's
Daryl Hannah's bum.
is bare, and then in the new one they've like digitally put in extra hair
to cover a bum.
Like
we've seen bum. The movies I watched growing up, I saw far more than bums, and I saw far more than people getting into washing machines, and I turned out moderately okay.
Yeah.
Kids are not going to be. I'm not showing kids Anora. Like just
no,
show, just,
I was about to say,
a family
look what,
film.
and be like, yeah, like I saw the same sort of things, and I'd be like, well, you're gay now, Pete. So.
I saw Daryl Hannah's bum,
and I was like, no thanks.
Cover that up, please. More hair, more hair.
Give me
The
Tom's.
Lion King's probably not a movie they're going to touch, though. It's reasonably.
Unless they make the SFX more prominent instead of looking like sex.
Actually, no, I didn't. Think
or they'll
about
just
that.
remove the stars altogether.
But the songs are incredible.
They are incredible.
And then you get this insane climax at Pride Rock, the
Yeah.
Battle of Pride Rock.
Yeah.
Lightning hits the dry ground, a fire starts. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
The shot of Scar coming out of the fire and then Simba and Scar fighting, like uncle and nephew fighting in that sort of like slow motion.
Yeah.
Man, and the music. Perfect.
I also do want to just shout out going back to voices.
Sure.
Whoopi Goldberg is
Whoopi
one,
Goldberg is one of the
one of the
hyenas.
hyenas.
Yeah. Unreal.
She's having a great time.
Perfect. They're unhinged.
The
like
hyenas are like terrifying.
real coke energy, crack energy from those
yeah.
guys. Yeah, 100%. They are terrifying.
Yeah.
Funny as you get older, scary as when you're a kid, though.
Yeah.
But this whole movie is just the perfect mix of everything, and like the story is really great too.
Yeah.
I know it's loosely inspired by Hamlet.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see that.
can
It's
see that.
the uncle who wants to overthrow the throne, has to take down the king's son, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. This son having this like existential crisis of being like, I don't know, I don't want to be a king, blah,
And
blah,
like
blah.
famously in Hamlet, like he talked to a
skull.
to a meerkat and a warthog about it. So.
Oh, as you do. And then the meerkat dressed up in drag and did the hula.
And look, and then there's the whole thing
That's my
about
favorite part of
there's
the
the whole
Hamlet.
thing about Timon and Pumbaa like being a couple.
Yes.
And like, oh, it's two men raising a boy together.
Hey.
And look how he turned out.
He killed his uncle and his dad, gaslit into killing his dad, apparently.
Yeah.
No, he turned out fine. And as we see in the sequels, which I watched growing up, Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Yeah,
Lion King.
which had the voice of Nev Campbell.
It did too, actually. That's very true. I watched that. My favorite one, and I'll die on this hill at actually how funny it is.
Jafar's Rescue.
No.
Return of Jafar.
Lion King 1.5.
1.5, yeah.
Which is it's the Lion King, but all from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. And they actually sit there and watch the Lion King and be like, that's not what happened. This is what happened. They like rewind the movie. As a kid who didn't understand what meta was, I was like, this is revolutionary. This is cinema. I loved it. I fucking loved Lion King 1.5 growing up.
Cinema.
To me, a perfect movie. This is a 5-star movie
5 stars.
for me.
100%.
You know what? Arguably one, Pete, that maybe you should never touch. It should never get remade.
No, it shouldn't.
It should just live.
You probably don't really need the sequels either.
No, you don't. But in fairness, the sequels were those like in the age of the direct to DVD.
There was a lot of the Disney.
I'm okay with that.
Disney loved a straight to
DVD sequel. And I'm okay with that because that's not canon. That's just let's feed the machine and give the kids more of what they want.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I consumed.
Yeah.
But to me, Lion King, perfect, standalone,
Yeah.
will live in the annals of cinema untouched
Yeah. Well, you'd think
until
so.
2019.
Yeah.
When Jon Favreau came around and said,
Johnny.
look what I can do better.
Because look, Jon Favreau had won a lot of people over with the fact that he did the live action Jungle Book. And the live action Jungle Book is really good.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
I saw it in 3D. I was astounded by how good it looked. But I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, even though the animals do have a bit more like a realistic touch to them, they still felt like animated characters. Yeah. Especially Christopher Walken mumble singing his way through his scene. Hilarious. But Bill Murray was like the perfect casting for that. The kid who they got as Mowgli was fantastic as well.
Yeah, like Scarlett Johansson, Idris
Huge
Elba.
Cast. Idris Elba. We will talk about the comparisons here with who plays Scar. This Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the comparisons between Idris and Chiwetel as the villains here, but Idris Elba is fucking great in the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Looked amazing, looked incredible in 3D. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And it was like a new direction for the live action remakes for Disney. Then they say, we're doing The Lion King. And it's going to be obviously a fully animated film based on the fact that you're not doing this like Snow Dogs style where you get like the talking faces on the real life puppy dogs. But it's going to look photorealistic.
Yeah.
And then the first trailer came out.
Yeah.
And everyone went, oh, that's too realistic.
Yeah.
This looks like a David Attenborough nature documentary.
This is like what animals would probably look like if they could talk.
And funnily enough, animals not known for having lots of facial expressions and features that convey emotion. Normally, a lion, I guess, would convey emotion in two ways. They either fuck or they fight. And either way, if you're a human in those situations,
you're done.
You're dead.
Yeah.
So I wasn't necessarily stoked when I saw the trailer for The Lion King 2019.
Yeah.
But in Favreau, I kind of trusted.
I was the same.
He did Jungle Book, like you said. He'd done Iron Man. He was a pivotal part of the MCU in those early stages. And he then attached himself into Star Wars. So I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. But then, I mean, this is interesting. I think you'll be more shocked by this than I would expect. 51% for critics. I do remember this kind of got really
this wasn't
panned by critics. But the $1 billion it made at the box office sort of aligns more with the 88% score for audiences on the popcorn
Which
meter.
is funny because I'm yet to talk to anybody that likes this movie.
Right, 100%.
It's like Dance Monkey. That song by Tones and I.
Yeah, a song that I hate.
That song is ridiculous. Like sold ridiculous amounts of copies.
Yep.
It was number one for fucking 25,000 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm like, how?
It went global, and
Viral.
I don't know anybody who likes that song. Like,
much like The Lion King,
like
I don't know anybody who actually truly loves this
like
remake.
88. I'm like, okay, like,
but
maybe the 12% of us make up.
Well, it must because it made. I just looked $1.6 billion worldwide.
Jesus.
That's no small feat, and it's not like it tried to claw its way to $1 billion.
How much did it make? Like, how much did it make
in the US? It was 540 million. So 1.1 billion worldwide, and then 500.
So it basically made half of it in the States.
About a third of it, actually. Yeah, because it was 1.6 billion.
Right.
And then 500 million, just over 500 million in the States. So a third in the States.
Okay.
And then 2/3 worldwide.
That is
I remember, obviously,
bonkers.
it did incredible here. I think it did really well in Asia as well. But it was just a movie that I remember watching and going, this is soulless.
That's it. And it's one of those ones where
it doesn't have the heart.
And you're like, I don't know who this was made for.
No clue. Yeah, no clue. And I think MUFASA is going to be more of a test.
Like the kids that grew up, those of us that grew up with The Lion King.
Yes,
we're obviously. I mean, it's not like you can't remake things that we grew up with. Like we see it. Ghostbusters remade it. It's for sure. They haven't remade Star Wars, but we've obviously got new
Star Wars movies.
We're seeing, but remaking The Lion King. If you want to do it for like a new generation, then you make it like a different movie.
You always go the Pixar route, right? Like you go, like do a new animated film, maybe a new story. But this is
like almost
this is beat for beat, basically the same movie, yet is 20 minutes longer. And I don't know how.
It has
one new song.
And wasn't like enjoyable.
No, I think there's a lot of elements as to why. I think you can't lose yourself in the animation of it because it feels too real.
Yeah.
Something about animation, and I heard actually it was very interesting. 'Cause I was thinking about it, and then I literally heard an interview with Chris Sanders, who directed The Wild Robot, which if you're looking for a fantastic animated film, that's a brilliant animated film from this year. But he said...
Oh, it just was the most nominated film in Golden Globes history for animation.
I did see that as well, and fucking deservedly so, because it's fantastic. And did you interview? No.
I interviewed
Chris and
Jeff
for the trailer.
For the trailer.
That's
I
right.
was...
you were Tiffin.
I was in the Tiffin.
You were Tiffin for the junket.
Yeah.
He said that he truly believes animation hits a different part of the brain. So you disassociate from the reality, but then you're still emotionally connected to things.
Yeah.
So with The Lion King 1994,
that's a great point.
I'm almost caught off guard. It looks beautiful. It's so colorful.
Oh, and you're like, it's talking animals. Like,
and then
there's
Mufasa dies. And you're like, oh my God.
And you're like, I'm invested.
And while the animation in this is incredible, the way this movie looks is truly groundbreaking.
Yeah. It's
the
like
photorealism
it's so weird.
Out of control.
It's so weird to be like, this film looks fantastic.
Oh, it's
like
brilliant. The only real shot in the film is the sunrise. That was the only thing that was filmed. Everything else was computer generated. Yeah. Which means I think it was like a $250, almost $300 million budget for this film.
So actually, when you think about the fact that it made 500, they're probably like it just broke even in the States.
Yeah. But considering it looks so real, I'm immediately unable to attach myself emotionally.
Yeah.
Because it's still trying to harness some of the silliness that you can get away with animation.
And then the silliness didn't work here because these characters don't have exaggerated facial expressions.
Exactly.
Everything sounds so monotone.
Which I don't think is something I want to completely discredit the performers for. Like, I don't think this is Donald Glover's best performance who plays Simba. I don't think this is ever going to be Beyonce if she ever does another movie, anything after this. She was very flat for me.
It was one of those things where I'm like,
go on.
I like Beyonce.
I'm less of a fan. Like, I don't get that.
I like early Beyonce when she came out, Crazy in Love, Single A's, when she was having fun.
Sure.
And she seemed to have a personality and she seemed to do a lot more like interviews and stuff. Now I feel like and I guess that this whole thing, like the more famous you get, yes, you're able to be like more guarded and whatever. But I'm looking at it being like Jennifer Lopez still shows her personality out there. And I'm like, look, I know Jennifer Lopez and Beyonce, like they're vocally, like I get it. But Beyonce feels too like regal in a way.
Sure.
And I feel like she doesn't like
self-inflicted
she doesn't
regalness?
she doesn't let herself I guess
be more
like,
vulnerable in the way that
and I feel like
does.
Beyonce being in this
I like the way you put that. Yeah,
was very like
still guarded Beyonce.
And like it was, to me, this was like, oh, we'll get Beyonce because Beyonce doesn't do anything in this film.
No,
like,
very much
obviously you get her singing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," and she gets her own
original song,
and I was like, the original song is very much like it's Beyonce, we got to do it. It adds nothing.
No, I agree.
She doesn't have the kind of talking voice that is like, I guess, exciting enough for a character.
No, but she hasn't changed the voice.
She hasn't changed the voice.
It's Beyonce, yeah.
And I sort of feel like if you want to hear Donald Glover and Beyonce sing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," get them to record it for the soundtrack.
And they did. Because I remember they released that. That was one of the big marketing things, right? But I know what you mean.
It's the film version. I was like, you could give them let them
like
perform
Elton
it,
did for,
but let them perform it as singers.
Yes, for
because
sure.
I feel like as singers they'd be able to be a bit more like over the top with it.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
whereas in the film they're so flat that it just doesn't. There's no like emotion behind it. I was like, I don't feel the love tonight between you two.
And that comes across with many people. Like, they got James Earl Jones back to be Mufasa, but you can tell he's old.
Yeah.
At that point, he was quite old.
There was only two people in this three people in this that that felt like they were giving me something.
Okay.
John Oliver.
Yes. Okay. Okay. John
as
Oliver. Yep.
Zazu, even though you can't
Very
touch,
funny.
even though you can't touch Rowan Atkinson,
Still very funny.
John Oliver does have the right energy.
Right energy for it.
Obviously, Billy Eichner and
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen as Timon and Pumbaa.
When they finally come into the
movie
film,
comes alive
it
with
shifts.
it. Yeah,
the
yeah.
tone shifts completely, and I'm like, oh, this is the Lion King I remember.
I was like, can you
This
give
is
us?
fun.
I was like, John Favreau, direct Lion King 1.5.
and have them watch
Have
it.
them- 'cause-
I'm glad they're back in Mufasa.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like
Yeah.
I'm far more
But, like-
intrigued by that. But still, it's odd to look at a photorealistic meerkat and warthog.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen's warthog is a very visually off-putting character. And I'm like, I don't want to pat you. But Pumbaa in the 1994
I was
version,
like, I want to
hug you.
Yeah.
You seem like a fun guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't say Chiwetel Ejiofor.
No.
Now, I love Chiwetel
Yeah.
Ejiofor.
Do you know-
I think he's one of the
Also,
best actors working
Do
today.
you know who they were originally going to
Oh,
get?
no, please
for
tell me.
Scar?
No.
I'll give you. You know what? I'll give you three
Okay.
guesses.
All right.
And I'll give you a massive hint just straight off the back. Don't go black.
Okay. All right. Give me the three.
Oh no, I'm going to give you a guess.
Oh, you're going to give me three guesses?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you
You're
three
gonna
guesses.
names. Don't go black. Okay.
Yeah. You've obviously got to think of like
Yeah.
actors that can sing.
Oh, great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Mufasa, I guess I have one thing to say to you. This is me.
I mean, like, you know what? You know what I am around here, Mufasa? I'm the greatest showman.
I'm the greatest showman.
No, I'm the greatest showman.
I'm just a boy from Oz, Mufasa. And also Wolverine. Right, yeah, don't like that.
No, yeah.
Not that I like Chiwetel anymore, because the thing is, Scar, there's such a precedence was set with Jeremy Irons that he is genuinely like a very campy villain.
And also,
very sort of, he's almost a showman. I was going to say showmanistic, sounds like chauvinistic, but
Yeah.
it kind of is at the same time.
Yeah.
He's very showman orientated, like Timon in a way.
yeah.
Fucking Scar loves a musical number. He loves a performance.
Because I'm going to say, there's obviously, like, we've seen over the years, more and more people sort of say, like, well, why can't voice performances be nominated?
for Oscars. Yeah.
Jeremy Irons should be...
Oh, absolutely.
Give him a supporting actor.
It might be the greatest voice performance of all time. Like, it's so good. But he did something with Scar that is almost like untouchable now. Like,
Yeah.
you have to place. Whereas Chiwetel
And I
genuinely plays menacing.
And I get, like, coming into this,
Yeah.
there would be, like, Chiwetel Ejiofor, there'd be so much pressure to be like,
Oh, God, yeah.
oh, God. I'm like, you can't touch Jeremy Irons, you can't
And
emulate him.
Sure, he
and
might have
Chiwetel
tried to.
Ejiofor, yeah, he's a fantastic actor.
Fantastic. And a great voice.
Great voice.
Great voice.
But
it just, Scar is so uninspired.
yeah.
The guy who is the go-getter, the guy who is the Donald Trump of the Disney animation universe, does not come through Chiwetel.
No.
And even though they try and make Scar look far more rough around the edges and far more off-putting and villainous, it kind of works to his detriment a little bit. He's just not like a character who I'm like,
Because-
the villainy is so forced, it seems.
Because you kind of like, even though when you look at going back to the 94 version, even though when you look at Scar, you're like, clearly you're a villain.
Clearly, yeah.
They still have him in a way that like, he's obviously like grown, like Simba's grown up with him enough to like trust him.
Yes, yeah, it's his uncle, right? Yeah,
So it's like you need to give Scar the kind of appearance of someone who can like get away with
yes.
being around, like I was like being around children, like
No, I
being
know what you
around
mean.
like family,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
not like because like when you look
Not
at him,
straight up
like
menacing
you
and
look
that
at him and just be like, oh, you're absolutely gonna kill us.
Yes, exactly.
Like
yeah.
you need to have a bit of like,
Yes, a bit of a
that's my,
charm
it's
to him
like
as
it's
well.
my uncle. Like he's just a little bit.
But that's where the charm comes.
Yeah.
That's where Jeremy Irons manages to like balance those elements, and he does it really well.
Yeah.
Chiwetel does
doesn't
not
do it.
And then yes, like Donald Glover flat, Beyonce flat, Chiwetel just the wrong vibe and tone. So who plays Mufasa again?
James L. Jones.
James L. Jones. No, I knew who it was. The name just ran out of my head. James L. Jones is just, unfortunately, he was so old by that point.
Yeah.
It was just a tired performance.
Yeah.
And then, Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen and John Oliver, are the highlights
Yeah.
of the film.
And they're just not in it.
Absolutely. And they're just not in it enough
Yeah.
at all. I will say I was genuinely astounded by the Battle of Pride Rock.
Yeah.
I think it just looks so visceral and incredible. Watching those animals fight was great, but I did feel like I was watching like Animal Planet. I did feel like I was watching a David Attenborough doco.
Yeah.
And I was like, this emotionally isn't working for me.
I think that's it. This film just has, it's as you said, it's just soulless.
It's soulless. There's no soul to
there's
it.
just nothing here.
Yet somehow it connected with people and we're getting
Enough to make
a prequel about Mufasa.
$1 billion.
So yeah, definitely not a fan of the Lion King 2019. Mufasa is intriguing. Barry Jenkins mainly, for sure.
And I do have
Aaron Pierre, I love.
Yeah.
After Rebel Ridge this year, I'll watch anything that man was in.
I do have issues with the fact that
Blue Ivy card is in the film.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll find. I mean,
Look, and it's not to say that she might end up being good.
yeah.
But it's when did Beyonce become because I was like Blue
pusher
Ivy
in Hollywood.
because I'm just that's why you have this role.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I don't see Blue Ivy. I don't see
smells a little too.
it's a very
nepotism
I
sort of
don't
thing,
see her
right?
being
Yeah.
oh, she auditioned for the role like all the other young actresses. I'm like, no, you fully gave this to her because
Is she playing-
Beyonce's back in this.
Yeah, so here's what I think. I actually don't. We haven't seen the film yet. We're seeing it next week. The time we're recording
Next week, yeah.
So yeah, we haven't seen it, and I haven't watched the trailers and I haven't read up enough on it. But my thing is, I'm wondering whether it is adult Simba retelling
The story to
or finding out more about his father. Like he's going on the same journey his father went on. Then we'll see what happens.
Because there are a lot of people that were like
Mufasa.
we don't really need do we really need to see Mufasa and Scar as kids sort of thing, because then it kind of takes away any, because we're we kind of know we know how this story ends. You know?
Definitely. So yeah, I'm thinking it's very much more.
I'm going to assume it's adult Simba and adult Nala telling their child,
and it's going to be like Mufasa when he was Simba's age.
but then I'm like,
Potentially.
is Blue Ivy, is her character in
Or is she a young Nairobi?
is she in the young Mufasa timeline, or is it a case of there's two timelines going together where it's young
True.
Mufasa and then
Simba's on that journey and
Simba
his
and Nala's child. And it's all, and I think
Who knows?
and it was also the fact that she got it was the end Blue Ivy. I was like, okay,
Yes.
it was just so
That was a big selling point
Yeah.
for the Lion King fans.
Yeah.
Now, this movie clocks in at an hour 58. Now, I will say the Lion King 2019 was 2 hours, 2 minutes, but the credits started rolling at an hour 47. So I had 15 minutes of credits.
okay.
So if we're taking that to consideration,
potentially
let's say 10 minutes of credits,
this movie is an hour 40.
an hour 45, an hour 50 maybe. So I'm sitting there going does the prequel to The Lion King need to be that long?
Probs not,
Probably not.
but we have been proven wrong before.
I am more than happy for a movie that's almost 2 hours if it justifies its length, but if it starts dragging a lot
And look,
and we're adding shit in for nostalgia's
and
sake, I'm
we
maybe
sat through 3.5 hours of The Brutalist and had zero issue with it.
Oh, that movie, if anything, could have been longer.
We would have even if they didn't have the intermission.
Oh, we would have been fine.
We'd been fine.
I would have sat all the way through it. It's riveting stuff.
Yeah.
The Substance is a 2.5 hour movie. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies of the year. When
Wicked's,
movies,
Wicked's 2 hours 40.
2 hours 40, right? As Smile 2 is 2 hours 15.
Yeah. So
Still
it's
love it.
So if the movie is good,
will
the
sit-
time doesn't bother us.
We will sit down
It's
for it.
if this movie is going to justify its length.
Once you feel that length, yeah.
And with songs and
trepidatious.
and they better be good songs because we know none of them.
I mean, yeah, these are all brand new original songs from Lin-Manuel. So, yeah, I'm definitely more cautious than optimistic.
Which makes
going
me
into
think,
Mufasa.
which makes me think okay, if it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, maybe there will be some nice levity and
potentially
to it because he seems to have this sort of energy. Because I'm for this, I'm not getting a lot of fun energy from it.
No, it definitely seems very serious.
If he wants to give us that sort of that upbeat, like Moana energy, that In
I'll
the
also
Heights
say
energy, then by all
that might be a
means.
Barry Jenkins thing too, because we're yet to see Barry Jenkins do something that has a lot of levity.
That's very true.
So we'll see.
There'll be a lot of there'll be a
levity.
lot of things that we can go. Okay.
We'll see what Barry Jenkins levity looks like on next Tuesday, December
14th. No, 7th. No,
we're seeing it on the 17th, and then it comes out on the 19th,
20th in the US.
20th in the US. That's where our brains are at this time of year. We are getting close to the end of the year, which means we're getting close to another year wrapping on the monthly movie marathon. Yeah. And as always, we will be recapping the year that was. Our 2024 recap will be coming out on New Year's Eve, and we will be recording it soon, which means not only are we going to go back and forth on what some of our favorite movies of 2024 were, what some of our favorite episodes of monthly movie marathon for this year were,
what some of our not favorite things
we're
were.
going to definitely talk about some of those. It also means audience questions are back, and we want all of your questions.
So refreshing.
Asking us about movies from this year, asking us anything. If you've listened to our Q&As and recaps in the past, we don't mind getting down and dirty, talking about pretty much fucking anything.
Yeah.
So if you have a question...
You guys ask some really invasive shit.
And you know what? We just answer it.
It's fine.
We just kind of go, fuck it. We do it for you guys because you listen to the show. So like, it's the least we can do.
It's the least we can do.
Is really open up about our private lives to you. So be on the watch out on our Instagrams. You'll get a prompt to ask questions there, and then they will be answered on our recap, 2024
Within
recap. Within, but as most people know, our scope is wide, like many other things.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, no, I'm as tight as a nickel down there. Is that a phrase?
It is now.
It is now. 2024 recap coming out New Year's Eve. There we go. That's exactly what I meant. But until that recap episode, well, let's also say what our January 2025
is just over the bend.
And we've come up with most of the things we want to do for 2025 for this show, but we seem to have a bit of a running tradition of... that's a lie. It's absolutely not a running... We've just done horror once in January because we did Mean Girls this year. Horror films that come out in January, but there is a horror film coming out in January.
You probably think of it because this time last year, we were probably doing interviews for Night Swim.
We had already done interviews for Night Swim.
And we had to sit on that for a while. And then Night Swim came out in January. And we got a lot of great access for Night Swim.
Yes.
And we are similarly...
Potentially,
getting...
just as good access, hopefully, to what we are covering in January, which is going to be Leigh Whannell's The Wolfman. Big fans of Leigh Whannell.
Love Leigh Whannell. I've had the pleasure of speaking to him for The Invisible Man. He is a gem of a human.
And a great writer of sadistic material.
Yeah.
Some of that sadistic material we'll be covering. We're going to be watching the original Saw, of which he wrote.
The very first.
The OG. We then are going to watch both his directorial efforts. Aside from, he did direct Insidious 3, but we're not going to touch Insidious 3.
We don't talk about that.
We're going to touch... we're not going to touch Insidious 3. We are going to cover Upgrades. And The Invisible Man.
Yes.
So Saw, Upgrade, and The Invisible Man leading up to The Wolfman in January, but more...
Very, very excited to revisit Aldous Hodge in The Invisible Man.
Oh, I know. I'm sure there's two big reasons why, and they're both located directly under his shoulders. That man is jacked.
He's jacked.
But until...
I'm not cross. Hey.
I still haven't watched it. Is it good?
I've seen bits of it, yeah. Okay. The first episode, I'm like, they know exactly what they're doing.
They reached at us. They Alan Richards.
Oh, it's more... There's a particular camera angle and a particular line that he says where I'm just like, you're going to get every single woman in gay just like frothing.
They know what they're doing, Amazon. But until the 2024 recap special, where are they find you on the internet, Pete? If they want to look you up before then.
At Rated PDG on X and Instagram, Peter Gray on Rotten Tomatoes, and the aureview.com where... thousands of things
there's
happen.
so much shit happening.
So I think the last thing was my Lord of the Rings interviews with Philippa Boyens, Gaia Wise, and Lawrence Ubong Williams.
Yeah.
I will have an interview with the director of Absolution, Liam Neeson's new movie, and I think that's probably it for now. There are so many things that are happening that I've done that I can't talk about. I can say I've did A Complete Unknown.
Oh yeah,
I spoke to
everyone,
a lot of people from that, which was great. And there will be a lot more things coming up. Just keep
an
watching,
eye out.
and that you can also keep an eye out on this gentleman.
Oh yes, nicksflicksfix,
Nickel Barrow,
nickel boy Barrow, tighter than a nickel boy. Oh man, I don't know. I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know if that's gonna be.
I feel like nickel boys would be so loose.
I haven't seen the film, so I don't know yet. Great, I've heard it's great though.
We're going in two different things.
Yeah, I think we've got two different trains of thought there. Nicksflicksfix on Instagram, X, and Letterboxd, and novastream.com.au for many interviews. Miranda Otto for Lord of the Rings. By the time this comes out, we would have done our interviews for Better Man.
That's true. Better
with
Man.
Director Michael Gracie and lead actor John O'Davies. Our Nosferatu coverage will be coming out soon.
Yes.
Which we talked to heaps of people about that film. And yeah, I'm excited to have a break over Christmas, and then
We say break, but it's very possible.
it's not.
that it
It's
won't
absolutely
happen at
not
all.
at the moment. There is so much end of the year stuff that I need to watch that I have not seen.
Yeah.
Like stuff that even came out like earlier in the year that I still am not all over yet.
What haven't you seen?
Shit, man, that's what I don't know. Like,
Right,
that's
okay.
I need to go back. I need to go back and have a look. But we're excited to bring it all to you. But until the 2024 recap of Monthly Movie Marathon, I don't know what to do with my hands. One thing to say to you. Bye! Just gets higher and higher.
Bye.